Yo, what's going on? VolcanoBeats, the Sampler King, live from Studio A today. And basically, I'm showing you guys how I do my mix, man, when it comes to me mixing my beats. I try to do my production and then my mixing in like separate processes. So I cooked this joint up last summer. A dope artist came through, Sycosis. Check him out, psychosismusic.com. We cooked up a classic, in my opinion, on this one. It went by the name of All Right Now. Check out the video on YouTube also. Yeah, with this one, basically I cooked it up on the MPC. Even though I used synthesizers and VSTs from the DAW, I honestly was like on some processing everything on the MPC. So I recorded vocals on the MPC. I recorded a synth, the main synth from this joint. Just let you hear for a second. The main synth from this joint, give myself a little volume, actually came from Arcade. I recorded it to the MPC, chopped it up like crazy, and then just made the beat out of it. So even though it's like got some VST sounds on it and some auto tune on my vocals, everything, I actually cooked it up inside of the MPC and then recorded it back in and then started mixing it. So this was kind of complex. I can admit I probably I was zoning that night, but we're gonna get it going. So basically, when I'm in Ableton, I try to process things in a specific order, man. I throw my synths and my bass, then my drums, then my vocals, if there's any behind it. So any effects behind the drums and then vocals. I treat it just like I'm a live sound mixer. So all the instruments first and then vocals. I treat it exactly the same when I'm mixing. On this joint, like I said, I got that main synth. I'm a solo, which is a big no-no when it comes to mixing, but I want to just let you hear the sound. And then I got another synth in the hook part. So it's really not that much to this beat, honestly. And then the bass. I cooked that bass is probably my mode. The synth, I had an Argon 8 at the time, so that's why I sound kind of metallic. That's what I think of when I think of that synth. Like it's kind of got a metallic feel to it. So that's basically it's just drums, a synth, and some creativity, man. That's basically it. And this little ow. So yeah, with the drums, I put them all in a group because with Ableton it's easy to just group tracks together. So I group all my tracks, and then on that group I put a drum bus. So let me take you through the process of what I do when I'm using a drum bus. Let me solo my drums. Yeah, those drums bang. So to make those drums bang in that way, I use the boom feature on the drum bus. To be honest, let me backtrack. I used to hate the drum bus when it first came out because I was like, this basically Ableton gave everybody my cheat code. I used to have a whole like effect rack with like 6 different effects in it to basically do what's inside a drum bus. So I felt like, man, these people watching me, they looking at my sessions, and they gave everybody like my way of working. But I stopped feeling like that when I started feeling the CPU, how light not having 7 plugins on your drum bus is. So starting off, basically, on this one, I won't push any drive because these drums are from one of my drum kits, the Let the Drums Bang Volume 1. If you haven't, go cop that. VolcanoBeats.com. Hit that sounds tab. Yeah, so these drums, they got a certain texture to them, and they all fit together already. So I didn't have to do too much as far as like making them cohesive. What I'm really doing is not getting too technical with it. So if I want more low end, I don't want to pull up like a parametric EQ and start finding frequencies. I'm just going to use the boom feature on this drum bus. Give it a little boom. I will try to get like close to the because with the boom feature on the drum bus, you can zoom in on like an exact frequency to push. So I'll push it a little bit so I can hear it. Like 40 something was cool for me. So what is it saying? That's a E. So yeah. What's that, an E sharp? So yeah, let's put it 40. as you know, I don't know if you do know, every frequency has a note. That's the math behind it. So basically, it's this lower E is what sounds decent to me. E flat. And that's what, 40.7 hertz. So I'm just gonna push that just a little bit so I can just get a little extra bang out of my drums without trying to be too technical. After that, just back the drums up a little bit. After that, I love the compressor feature on it, because it just like adds life and just, you see, I didn't even have to do much. Just take it away, put it back, boom. But sometimes, you know, you got to turn down, because sometimes we just feel stuff is better because it's louder. That don't make it better. So we're going to turn that down a little bit. So it's basically a compressor I have no control over. It's just on and off. It's just magic. That's it. So that's why I like it. Sometimes I'm trying not to be too difficult and just turn it on. With this drive, like I said, I may not push it that hard on a beat like this, because this one is kind of clean. Those synths and that bass make it super clean, so I don't want the drums to sound too distorted. So I may push a little bit, like my compressor may be pushing a little bit too hard right now. Nah, it's good. Not too bad, but let me use some of my dry wet to get rid of a little bit of that. So I'll go about 50-50, because it was pushing a little bit too hard, but I don't want to change the way it's feeding into it. Because you can do something, you can't use the trim to make it not push in so hard, but I don't want to change like the level that it's feeding into it. So I just rather go down with and make it like a parallel processing thing with the dry wet. Then we add a little crunch to make my snares and claps shine through a little bit more. We're gonna open the damp up though. I don't want my hi-hats to be dampened too much. So yeah. And then after that, I might push up the transients a little bit just so it can stick out when that bass start rocking. So let's hear it when with the bass in. So I might have went a bit loud with the drums. We're gonna come down a little bit. That's one thing you gotta watch when you start processing all the drums together. What I did is a no-no. I technically wouldn't do that in real life. I never solo my drums when I'm mixing them. Because of that situation right there, I had to bring the drums back down. So now that we always get my drums together first, because it's hip hop, man, they the star. So I got to get my drums together right. Now we can work on my bass. So with my bass, just using the stock plugins, obviously, is sometimes other companies make better stuff than what's inside of your DAW, but Ableton has got a couple little cheat codes in here that I like using. The first cheat code is drum bus. The second one is the glue compressor. So I'm gonna put a glue compressor on my bass, and I'm gonna use the sidechain feature, and I'm gonna use the kick to sidechain it. Start moving our threshold. Cause that bass, only reason I'm doing that, cause the bass is just like, just sustained notes. So I want that kick to, like that, I want that kick to shine through. So after that, let me put a marker here. After that, my next thing would be to add maybe like some slight distortion to it. And in Ableton, like slight distortion, you can add saturation. I love that almost every Ableton plugin has a dry wet on it, so I can start pushing it to get the tone and the color that I want. Turn my depth down because I don't want it. And the width also, because this is bass, so I want it to be dead center, smack you in the face. So I got some of the tone I want, but it's a little bit too much, a little heavy-handed. I use the analog clip just so you know when I'm using it. And then we're gonna dry wet it a little bit, back it off. That's the kind of my technique. I take things to the extreme and then back it off. And to be honest, if I was really if that bass and that drum didn't really gel, I would have put them in a bus together and started doing some stuff, but they sound pretty decent together. So even though my kick is crazy right now, we're gonna turn my kick down a little bit. And that's why I like putting things in a bus or a group also, because I still got control over individual volume of these instruments. Cool, so now we got our drums and the bass together. Like I say, it's hip hop, that's the skeleton. So we gotta get those right. After we got those right, now we can work on our main synth. So my main synth, I like it, like we don't stick with the Ableton plugins. I like using my chorus inside of Ableton to try to basically add some width and some depth, because I got bass in here, I got vocals in here, I got a lot of stuff that's gonna be occupying the mid-range. So basically I'm using some chorus to like basically give the synth a little, like some side depth, and take away some of the middle. See right there, that's too much, but we're gonna push it to 100 to get it right. I like how it sounds right there. Like I said, and doing that kind of makes my bass stick out a little bit more, man. I don't want to push it too much though, because I don't want to make it sound too, like it's dope when you use a chorus on guitar sometimes, but this synth is the main thing in my track, so I don't want it to sound too spaced out. Like if it was just a part that came in once in a while, then that'd be cool, but this is the main thing in my track, so I don't want it to be too spaced out and too crazy. Then we go on to the little, this is basically just a little synth jab that comes in once in a while. And for this one, because it's the gift and the curse of Ableton, it records everything in stereo. So let me put my utility on here. Then I have some control over volume and panning of this little synth part.